Hi there, good noon, and welcome to another session of the series that we started for you, which is kind of a crash course where we take you through all the different question types that you can expect in the CAT exam. So these are some of the most important CAT questions that you can go through. Just to give you a quick background, we know that when it comes to VARC in the CAT, it is usually the very first section where you get 40 minutes. So in the total exam, you have 66 questions in the entire exam. Out of those 66, 24 questions for the last 2 years have been based on verbal ability and reading comprehension. You get 40 minutes to answer these 24 questions, and here is the breakup of those 24 questions last year. So we had 4 RC passages of around 500 words per passage. Every passage had 4 questions, leading to 16 overall questions. And then, as usual, we had all of these paragraph based questions. There was one surprise. We had para completion question, which ended up replacing paragraph odd one out. So in a way, when I look at preparing for the CAT exam now, I'd say that we need to essentially focus on 5 things. Now, reading comprehension plus the 3 paragraph based question types that are here and a paragraph odd one out. And that is what we are consistently doing in our sessions in this particular series. So far I have exposed you to each one of these 5 question types, and I am carrying a mixed bag for you today. So I welcome you to BYJU'S Exam Prep channel dedicated to your success as an MBA aspirant. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon. My name is Vikrant. I have been helping people get into their dream colleges and dream jobs for the last 22 years. And I am your personal coach for all things related to English and communication skills, apart from the psychological aspects of preparation. Right? So, do you have any questions, or can we straight away get into the practice mode, the practice zone? Any question, guys? Any question, any issue, any concern that you want me to address before we start? And those of you who are joining in just now, a very good noon. And it is absolutely amazing to have you here working with me. Shall we? So are you ready? Should I show it to you now? Okay. So here is the first part of the first passage for you on the screen. It's a really interesting passage. When I read this extract for the first time, I was like actually enamored. I thought, wow, that's so relevant, that's so nice. But let's see. Let's hope that you also feel the same way when you go ahead and read it. Just a reminder, whenever we read an RC passage, we always read it for an overview. We do not read it for detail, because while answering the question, you can always come back to the right part. On YouTube, you can use the seeker to approach that right part. So here it is on your screen. Go ahead. So Kritika, let's see how soon you read it. The moment you're done reading it, drop in a quick yes, and I will take you over to the next slide. Done? Should I take you over to the next slide now? Fantastic. Okay. Kritika is basically setting the pace for the rest of us today. Done? Okay, here you go. Ready for the next one? So I'm counting, I'm just counting mentally 5 more seconds and I'll switch. Oh, Angela, thank you for the update. Yeah, the messages from me, and let me know that we are moving along fine, moving along nicely. Okay, those of you who have read the passage, did this passage resonate with you? Did you learn something from it? Could you identify some aspect where you require change or some way in which you need to change your response? Now, see, these are the kind of things that we already know, but a reminder can always be useful. So now that we are done with the passage, let us dive into the questions. So here is your first question on the screen. Give me 3 answers and I will start discussing. Okay, so now this is a question type which is typically called a main idea question, and it is important for us to have good accuracy in this question type for 2 reasons. Reason number 1 is very obvious. This is a question type that gets asked very frequently, and because it gets asked very frequently, you obviously would want to be good at it. But then the second and an even more important thing is that the skill that is needed to come up with the right main idea is the ability to generate a mental overview of the passage, and this overview is very useful when it comes to answering even the other question types. So even when you are answering a fact-based question, a specific detail question, this is one skill which is very useful and comes in very handy. And therefore, I generally very strongly urge everybody to fix this particular question type before they fix anything else. So let's check. I've received 3 answer choices, A, B and D. So let us look at these 3. A, the main objective is to indicate that at times it is better to change oneself than to change the external environment. So the author has basically said that, okay, there are these situations. What do we do in these situations? Either change the situation or change your reaction to it. And then he, towards the second half of the passage, he goes ahead and talks about those situations where we cannot change the external environment, and therefore we must change our response to it. So this covers essentially both of these types. So yes, he does talk about there are situations where one approach is better than the other, and that in fact also happens to be the dominant theme. So if sounds okay, let's look at B. Show how the amygdala can increase vigilance towards threats and improve one's ability to detect and avoid danger. Is this how even given in the passage? That's point number 1. And number 2, is this the main focus? If it is the main focus, I am sure there must be at least 2-3 paragraphs that are devoted to it. But that is not the case. There are only 2 sentences that are devoted to it. And that too to talk about why we react the way we react. So this is an answer choice that I typically term a very narrow answer choice when it comes to main ideas. Nobody has chosen C, so let's rule it out. D, prove that everyone in this world, no matter how privileged, has circumstances that they wish to change. That's once again narrow, and that is because it talks about just the first paragraph. It omits the rest of the passage, and therefore even this gets ruled out. So the best answer choice for us here is option A. Moving over to the next one, question number 2. What's your take on this? Think it through and tell me. This is more of a specific detail, fact-based question. Use your seeker to go back to the relevant part and you'll find the answer. So let us go ahead and check this one. Each of the following statements involves a response of changing how one feels, except for which one? So 3 of these are about changing one's emotions, one's response, whereas one of these situations talks about a scenario where changing one's emotions will not be useful. So here is the relevant part of the passage for you first. So the 5th paragraph told us sometimes changing your circumstances is difficult but absolutely necessary, and sometimes it is fairly easy. So in the first 4 lines, we are talking about those things where changing your circumstances is needed, or where you engage in changing your circumstances. But if you look at the rest of these things, these are situations where you cannot change the external environment. And if you look at the beginning of the 6th paragraph, you'd realize they say that these are situations where you have to change your response. So what kind of things do we have here? Chronic illnesses, breakup, bad manager. Now if I go back to the question, let's look at A. Illness, chronic illness, you change your emotion. So this is not your answer. Liking one's job but not the boss, can you change the boss? No. So you have to change your response, not the answer. Some sort of emotional or physical abuse. In this situation, do you change your response or do you change the external environment? Let me take you back. Look at this part here. Abuse or violence. The very second line. I think my clicker is playing a bit of a truant today here. See this? So this is where you change the external environment, and look at what the question asks us. Each of the following statements involve the response of changing how one feels except. So in C, you don't have to change your response, emotions, feeling. In C, you have to change your circumstances, and that is why C is our answer, and D very clearly was mentioned there as an area where you change your response because you can't do anything. So that is why the correct answer to this question is option B. Referring to 5th paragraph along with part of 6th was the key here. Next question. Oh guys, and if you are enjoying it, if you think that this session is helping you, don't forget to like it. That helps me a lot. Third, according to the passage, what is the main disadvantage of the amygdala? So now bring in your Kritika, absolutely, we cannot change your boss. So what do we do in that situation? We change our response. We have to change how we feel. So what was the question? 3 of those involved changing how we feel. 1 does not. That's what accept stood for. And that is why B was the answer. So I think we perhaps missed out on implementing the role of accept. Kritika, the passage, I showed it to you very clearly that the passage said now you cannot change your boss. And then 6th paragraph tells you that in these situations you need to change your response. And mind you, you don't like your boss, but you like the job. If you don't like both, then you change. Besides, we are supposed to answer it on the basis of the passage, right? No GK. Ready? What is the main disadvantage of amygdala? Now, there is a paragraph where amygdala was introduced. That was the 6th paragraph. Now, there is a part of the 6th paragraph that I have highlighted. Let us read it together. Negative emotions such as anger and fear activate the amygdala, which increases vigilance towards threats and improves your ability to detect and avoid danger. In other words, stress makes you fight, flee or freeze, not think what a prudent reaction would be at that moment. Right? So this is the problem. You're not able to think. And going by that, now if I see option A captures it correctly, and therefore option A is going to be the answer. B was also pretty close, but then the trouble with B is that it uses the term no possibility. It's not as frequent, but we cannot say that the possibility of that happening is 0. Even we can be involved in, say, a traffic accident or some other freak phenomenon. Right? C and D were easy to eliminate. So A it is. Here is the next question for you on the screen. What is the main conclusion from the first paragraph? So you can of course refer to the first paragraph. It's pretty straightforward, but let me help you. Here is the first paragraph. Read this and then I'll take you back to the question. Done? So here is the question. Now tell me what the answer should be. Yes, Kritika, that's and Anjula, absolutely correct. C is the answer. The problem with the other options is that they are not talking about this desire to change, which was a key component of the first paragraph. So that's the key. Absolutely, yes, C it is. And here is the last question. What is the meaning of the word conspicuous as used in the passage? And fortunately, this word was in the paragraph that we just read. Let me highlight it for you. Here it is. Conspicuous for his nobility. Just read the context once, read the sentence once. Shraddha, that's correct. C was the answer. And let me take you back to the question. Now, what do you think the answer should be? So, vocabulary based questions are rare, but then in the last 10 years, we did have 2 such questions. And therefore, I think it's important for us to practice it once in a while. So, if I look at the word itself, conspicuous basically means something that is very noticeable, something that is quite distinct. So imagine if you wear a very flashy jacket to a sober gathering, then that jacket will make you conspicuous, right? And thereby, if I start ruling, is it demeaned? No. Is it put down? No. Is it worshipped? No. So known is the word that is closest to noticeable or distinct, and therefore should be our answer. So B, it is absolutely right. Good job. Okay, with that, let me take you over to our next question. Question number 6, you have the directions on the screen. Do read them. The passage given below is followed by 4 alternate summaries. Choose the option that best captures the essence of the passage. So basically, a best summary of the paragraph question, and here it is on your screen. Please go through the paragraph and the options, use elimination, and then tell me what you think. Ready? So if we look at this particular paragraph, it states that a wealth of information leads to a poverty or a dearth of attention, and we need to, of course, then focus on how that attention is used. Now, when I look at option B, C, and D, all the three miss out on that dearth of attention and using it efficiently part, which makes all the three incomplete. Right? So B does mention it, but then it adds something like it is not possible to absorb so much information which is irrelevant and misses out on the part that we need to be judicious about it. Right? So that's one. Then we have this other bit here. C, present day world, this is fine but misses out on the second half. If you combine all of these, you'd be absolutely right in choosing A as your answer. So A it is absolutely correct. So that's about para summary. And then we have a Parajumble. So you know that Parajumbles is that question variety in the CAT which has been non-MCQ slash theta, type in the answer, for quite a few years now. So I'll give you 4 sentences. There aren't going to be any options. Your job is to arrange all those sentences to create, to construct a coherent paragraph out of those. So there you go. Here are the 4 sentences, and my bad. So, Parajumble, just writing it here so that we know which question type we are dealing with. I think there is some problem that I have with this here. I think I'm facing some issues. Why is it not being done? Okay. There is some issue with the PPT, so let's just skip this. Let's have a look at this next question. You have been given a paragraph with a blank. So you remember that we are given a para completion question in the CAT 22. We have a para completion bit, right? So absolutely, Harshad, I'm facing some issue here. So there is a para completion question that was given to it. So I'm giving you something which is a bit similar to the which is conceptually similar to the variety that was given to us, that was offered to us in the exam last year. So you have a paragraph with a blank. So please make sure that you answer this. You're right. It is a para completion question. There is some issue with my MS Office, it seems. I'll just look at it once the session gets over. But why don't you go ahead and look at this question? Give it a shot and then we'll see. So you notice you have this blank right at the very end. You're supposed to fit something here. Okay, Kritika, that was quick. One more answer, guys, come on. So let's have a look at it. What does the paragraph basically say? The paragraph is dealing with creativity. It tells us that creativity is not a magic bullet. In fact, it can also lead to issues. It does not lead to miraculous growth as claimed. So there are people who just praise the novelty of ideas and ignore the machinery of corporate acceptance that may eventually lead to a disaster, right? So we starting with talking about creativity. It is not the miraculous road to business growth. And for the line manager particularly, it may be more of a millstone than a milestone. So millstone is a stone that is hanging on your neck, and it makes it difficult for you to work, right? So those who extol the liberating virtues of corporate creativity, there are people who praise creativity over the somnambulistic vices of corporate conformity. So conformity is where you do things like everybody else. So they say creativity is better than just being like everybody else, sleepwalking. They may be offering advice that in the end will reduce the creative animation of business. So animations, you have an idea, you need to put that idea into practice. And that's where the challenge could lie. And therefore, if you start evaluating, you're absolutely right. C is the one that continues that thought. Now, if you look at option A, it brings in a completely different idea. Who fosters creativity? Where creativity comes from has not even been dealt with in this particular passage, in this particular paragraph. Then option 2 may seem related. They do not understand the operating executive's day-to-day problems, underestimate the intricate complexity. But then it is not talking about where the issue from creativity arises. And if I look at option D, it is beyond the scope. Creativity or the lack of it follows the same general contours of the great socio-economic divide. Not even talked about it. Rising inequality, not a mention of it. And that is why option D can also be eliminated. So each one of these other three had some issues. C, on the other hand, is the right one. So, sorry, my bad. So keep practicing these questions, and I'm sure you will go on to become even better. And once again, if you're finding this session useful, don't forget to press the like button. And here is something that comes from Angelina Jolie to inspire you today. The only way to have a life is to commit to it like crazy. Now let us just customize it for our pursuit. The only way to become number one in the CAT is to commit to it like crazy. Make this your mission for the next 7 months, and there is absolutely no force that can stand between you and your goal and your dream, right? So that's it from me today. If you want more practice, head over to our app where we upload a section-wise quiz every day. And if you want to be part of this elite group of people who were coached by us and who went on to get great scores, you can consider joining our program that targets CAT 23. And as you can see, it's a feature-loaded, power-packed course that takes care of every aspect of the B School's selection process. Mind you, we actually give you study notes, etc. too, right? And to make it easy for you to join it, we have a scholarship test happening on 14th of May. So make sure that you take part in that as well. And we also keep on conducting a lot of these sessions where we give you inputs in terms of the strategy to be used. One such session is happening on 9th of May, and this session can definitely take your preparation to the next level. So do register for it. It is free of cost and you should benefit. And now to answer this last question, does this happen every day? Well, almost every day. Kritika, this is a series called 500 Most Expected or Most Important CAT Questions. We bring some session or the other to you every day, or there are days when we bring in multiple sessions. In fact, even today, right after my session at 1 p.m., you'd be joined by Saral sir, who will take you through Venn diagrams. So catch a quick break, get your cup of tea, coffee, snacks, breakfast, whatever, and then come back for that session and many more. So if you subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon, you would automatically get to know of each one of these sessions. And if you have questions after this session, we are on Instagram, Facebook, Telegram. You can always follow us there and reach out to us there. We would love to be a part of this fabulous journey of yours towards your dream college. So until I see you next, stay safe, stay focused, stay in touch. Have a great day ahead and come back at 1, okay?